Man, always fun having interesting football conversations off camera. Sorry you all weren't privy to that, but it's classified information. But we can always talk about North Florida Panhandle football whenever we feel like it, and that's why we're here today. We are very, very glad to be in week number 7. I can't believe the season is going by this fast. Number 7. It's like
Already.
it felt like 2 weeks ago it was August, and now we are squarely in the month of October. This is the Extra Point Podcast. We're glad that whoever is watching or paying attention to what we're doing here in the North Florida area, trying to give our best take on nearly 40 schools from around the I-10 corridor, stretching all the way from Lake City all the way back to the Emerald Coast. Man, it has been a very, very up and down kind of football season, especially on the college football landscape. We just have we just have one kind of battle after the others. It seems like one of the things when you are in the shadows of a major college town is that like you get to actually see things happen in real time, and watching just FSU go on this roller coaster is just very, very, very entertaining to say the least. But man, you better buckle up, especially when you put FAMU into the mix. It's never a dull moment. Um, for all those who are watching, Joe Bullitt said he was sorry.
Oh,
He didn't mean it. He got carried away. Um, and then Paul Feinbaum just got on the air the other day and just discredited FSU's win against Alabama. So it's just never a dull moment. Like you don't know what you're gonna get. So, but I'm glad that we're covering high school football. It's never gonna be as unstable as the crazy landscape of college football because everything just happens regularly in the high school football landscape. You just get a week of games every week, every Friday night. You know who's going to play. You just watch the chaos unfold on the field as it should and never off the field. But I'm so glad that we get a chance to like just really dive into what we're blessed to be able to do week in and week out because I don't think just watching the NFL over the past couple of weeks and then watching college football, man, I think high school football might be football in its purest form. I don't
Man,
think you can get up close and just watch it
man,
without interruption, without commercial breaks, like
you
you can on the high school level.
you too young to be talking like that, man. Um, you talk about the purest form. The one thing I see different about football, period, nobody know how to tackle.
hey,
They do not tackle people in high school, college, pro. No one knows how to tackle, and that's probably because they don't work on
Because you
it.
can.
And you can,
it's simple fundamentals. How can you
yeah,
not
you
work
can
on
do
it?
it if that's a priority. And I was talking to a couple of my friends, and we talked about this same thing, man. Nobody, man, you watch games on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and nobody's tackling anybody. It's like the offense can run past you. You don't know how to drop and hit people and take them to the ground. Players breaking 3 and 4 tackles. And you're like, dang, do they work on that? I used to go to practice. I remember back in the day. I went to Florida State practice. They used to get. They did at the beginning of practice. They did goal line. Man, it was ones on ones, and buddy, you better get in between them guys. It was. It was. They didn't care about who started or whatever. Everybody was playing, and they hit and hit. They didn't care if somebody got hurt. They hit. They get now. You go to. I guess they do this in practice. They don't. They really don't work on live tackling drills because people are afraid folks are gonna get hurt.
I do see I do agree with you. I think I've never seen more guys try to tackle high and just ride the guy for
Drives,
another 10, 15,
drives, me,
sometimes 20 yards.
drives me crazy.
I know it's got to because I can hear Coach Davis in my ear still to this day.
It drives me crazy. These guys don't tackle.
It just goes to show you how
It's
much the game has changed in so many different ways, man. And it's like bad to the point to where it shows on game days at the worst moment.
It is
Worst moments,
becoming
man.
a little 7-on-7-ish, and 7-on-7 is entertaining.
That's the thing
It's not.
that everybody does.
It's not
And you
football.
can't tackle. You can't. Man, when I was in college, we went live 7-on-7. So I got knocked. I got knocked out cold in a live 7-on-7 drill. So you could do what you want to do. It's like they don't tackling. The game is called tackle football, not touch. It's tackle. And so if you don't practice doing that, or you don't work on the fundamentals, you're gonna see what you see on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
Everybody worry about folks getting hurt. They gonna get hurt. Tackle football gonna get hurt. The only person I believe in protecting, and that's me, is the quarterback. Everybody else, we can go live.
Yeah, there was an argument for a minute that NFL rosters should be double in size because guys just get banged up. Like you just go through so many guys.
Not to mention the amount of injuries that we're seeing spread throughout the NFL. Personally, not to take it away from those teams, but I feel like, for example, my personal favorite, Tampa Bay, for the past 4 straight years in a row, I feel like we are Mr. Glass of the NFL. It is always someone crucial.
I don't know.
Like you have to ask yourself, what are these strength and conditioning coaches doing? Something's not adding up. Something's not.
I will say this: you all play on grass because the Giants. I mean, it's almost like a conspiracy theory. I mean, the turf up there is so bad. Like guys are like they don't even want to play on it. And what the ticker is this: professional soccer players, especially in Europe, they won't step on the stuff. They won't practice on it. They won't do an exhibition on it. Grass only. That's why when they hold a World Cup next year here in the United States, they're going to rip out all the artificial turf and lay on top a layer of natural grass, which is going to cost millions of dollars because you got to put the turf back when it comes back to football season because soccer players won't touch it. And that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of injuries that non-contact on turf. I've witnessed some of the worst injuries I've ever seen as a coach.
Yeah.
Of players. I remember at the state championship in Orlando.
Oh yeah. That was horrible.
It was, oh my God. All he did was make a step, and it was terrible. And the kid, I don't know if he ever played much anymore after that. Anyway, I mean, he didn't get hit. He just took a.
No, his body went one way, his knee went the other, and it was awful.
The surface. Mm. Yeah, we did old man grunt. Yeah. They don't tackle anymore.
Not back in my day. Yeah, nice cathartic process for the people who have been in for the last 8.5. But that's the thing. And the players are so quick, and the equipment is almost too good. They get such good grip that. Like you all were saying, the cleats are too good, too much grip, all that stuff, and they're too fast.
I'll tell you one thing we talk about: the kids, they work out year round. They never give their body a rest. They never rest. Their body never rests. And I guess from look back in the day, we didn't do any warm up stuff until we didn't do any workout till we went to the school. It was like a few days a week. We maybe summertime.
What was that Coach Prime said? Cheated on stretch before he catches prey.
Yeah, something like that.
The body just don't give. They so tightly wound that body just don't give. Something got to give. And a lot of the players, man, they play and they work out year round, and still injuries.
Yeah, Maurice Claret came out not too long ago and said that there's only a certain number of hits you can take before you are just you just kind of topped out as a football player.
Especially
and you have to really take that into contention when you're playing all year long. So
injuries, it's part of the game.
Yep. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Man, it was a bad weekend. Started on Friday night and it just rolled all the way through the weekend. Let's go ahead and get out the way. Florida State falls. I knew something was wrong when 2 things happened that just didn't feel right. Anytime Florida State shows up on the road and it's not a Saturday game, something's off. FSU just needs to figure out, and I know the TV money is big money. Stop playing games not on Saturday. Stay away
I
from Thursdays. Stay away from Fridays. And just please stop unless it's like a special bowl game or something like that. Gold helmets, white jerseys, garnet pants, gold pants. Leave the uniforms alone. When Virginia came out in those throwbacks, I said, "Uh-oh." Something didn't feel right. And man, is Squirrel okay? Because he got absolutely run over.
Yes, he's okay. They posted up a picture of him standing, no harm done.
The students were literally on the paint, when the ball was in the air. Like he could have come down with it, and I don't know how that would have played out, but yeah, Squirrel got absolutely mauled in the field storm. And for Florida State, it's just like, man, that it just kind of kills all the momentum, because now you're going into Miami week, which was arguably setting the stage for one of the biggest games. I'm not sure. I think game day was supposed to be there at one point until FSU. That was the rumor.
Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah, just a bad Friday night game. FSU just couldn't seem to get UVA off the field. And then on Saturday, man, Bama State just came in with revenge on their minds after dropping 3-4 straight to the Rattlers, and they just, man, fam, you got boat raced bad at home. That was a really awful loss. And man, you could take Coach Cozy's chair and just kind of throw it in the microwave a little bit because the heat just got turned up really high. You never want to lose at home, but you never want to lose at home that bad. This was, FAMU really was coming off of, up until the Mississippi Valley game last year, they had arguably the longest home win streak among HBCUs in division in FCS, and it just things seem to be unraveling really fast.
Well, Mark, one of the problems we start back with FSU, it seems like they always get upset on these Friday night games, and especially as Virginia. Seemed like they picked them up. I think FSU first loss in the ACC was to Virginia on a Friday night, and FSU had the ball last, and it did something happen, and then I think didn't work out.
Worked unfumbled on the 1 yard line.
And you look at it, you're like, well, dang, why they,
It's questionable. It's not really, if you go back and you look at it, they really debate on whether or not he broke the plane or not.
Yeah.
Kids too late, everybody old and gone. So, man, you get in these games with, and FSU has no choice. They're in the ACC, and they're required to play these games. So they don't set the schedule like that. But every time when I saw this, I said, man, that is not a game they want to play. And Virginia gets up for them anyway. I mean, you're talking about a team was undefeated, ranked in top 10. Man, the student body was rocking. I mean, it was a perfect setup for an upset. And I wasn't surprised.
The offense came off flat. There was just a lot there. And really, the scary thing is that FSU got to go to Carter Finley, play NC State on Thursday night later on in the season. So I don't know who's making the schedule, but they need to quit.
Yeah.
Well, they want. That's a good matchup for them. I think they'll be all right.
But history is not kind to us when it comes to prime time, nighttime at Raleigh, North Carolina.
It's any non-Saturday games. Stay away from.
They need to take care of. They need to take care of business on Saturday. They don't need to worry about it. And if you're winning, just win. And if they beat Miami and be undefeated when they walk in there, they're still in good shape to get in the playoffs. And that's the best part about the new system. You can make the playoffs. All you got to do is, if you win your conference, you're in. If you are successful, and the only difference now is they seed the teams. Just win, and then take care of business. It's set up perfect. If you lost a game like that, you got upset last week.
According
it's perfect.
The numbers, if the season ended today, FSU would be a playoff lock. And so with the new playoff
Lock.
system, yeah, lock. They would be one of
Yeah,
the
but
12 that would
I
be
think
in.
it was that Florida State would probably more than likely start on the road somewhere. That would be the thing.
No, they would be a playoff lock and a first round host.
Mm.
Just
What?
based on the system, based on points. So everything is still in front of them. I think it's a new system we're still getting used to. Just from a fan standpoint, it's like, okay, all right, yeah, that was a tough loss. Virginia is ranked now, so that still could possibly help them down the road.
And
Uh,
Alabama helping them too because they keep winning.
yeah, Bama, yeah,
Yeah,
Bama. So
but it's not fair that Alabama's still a little bit ranked higher than Florida State. Now that's not fair.
But that's just
How do we go all the way to 18 and you
that's the
jump all
beauty
the
of
way?
college
that's
football. You
that's
can win if you
publicly.
lose at the right time. It doesn't matter.
It's
It's public.
favoritism.
That's
It's
a public.
favoritism. There's a bit of favoritism in
It's
that.
called the AP poll, and it'll never be right.
No,
It'll always be jacked up.
Because
Somebody on the East Coast will never watch a West Coast team. Somebody on the West Coast will never watch an East Coast team. Somebody up north will never watch a team down south. That's the beauty of it, though. It's a perfect mess.
just win Saturday. That's the
That,
only thing that matters.
yeah,
that's what makes college football so fun. The regular season is the playoffs.
yeah.
That's what makes it so good. Like
Every,
that's.
every game for Florida State from here on out, I just feel like it's just going to be crucial no matter who the opponent, especially this Saturday being Miami, and your crowd will be in full force and everything. It's going to be tough to shake this upset off of what happened with Virginia, historically speaking, and it's unfortunate that the Jefferson Epps Trophy is not coming back to Tallahassee, but you got to learn to move on, get ready. The hurricane flags are already out in Tallahassee. And for FAMU, I mean, any hope? I mean, I know this one hurts to lose to Alabama State, but if FAMU could do the same and win out the rest of the season, can there still be hopes of a SWAC title appearance?
Nah, I think Bama State will have to lose twice,
Mm.
and
You know,
because I think they're still in divisions, that
yes.
that might be mathematically tough. It really is a one and done kind of conference because that year where Prime's first year and Coach Simmons the year after COVID, 2021 or 2022, um, it was FAMU and Jackson State, and it was the 7-6 loss that kept them out of being in contention for SWAC title.
Yeah.
So,
They needed Jackson State to lose one more, at least to a
to
team
be
that they beat. Yeah.
Yeah, and Jackson State is tough. I think they would be favored against Alabama State. Um, when I was last checking it, both of those teams are pretty good, and they're loaded. They got a lot of talent on both of those squads. We actually got a couple of Tallahassee guys on JSU squad. So yeah, there's lots of talent, and I think FAMU is just unfortunately that's what happens when you go through transition like that. That staff that was together. Um, that window just closed and there go the recruits along with it. So Coach Cosley will really have to go back to the drawing board, if he really wants to get the program back on track. Um, I think a lot of athletes still want to play for FAMU, still want to go to FAMU, but it is weird to see them in this position after, so much success last season and the season before. So, but we'll see. Season's still young. I was almost one of those people that got caught up in the cancellation of the uh, Mississippi Valley Georgia Classic or whatever they were trying to do. That was weird. I was just like, why are you all trying to, bring all of that money back into, it, Itabena and
Yeah.
support your,
I think at this point,
travel. That's one thing.
yeah,
FAMU's they go to Pine Bluff. They go everywhere. So
yeah,
I would have took that
yeah,
money at home. I wouldn't have tried to do it on the road or
yeah,
in a venue like that. Now, if it was Tennessee State, that would be different. But I think that's because fans are used to that.
yeah. I'm for classics. Don't get me wrong, but then there are some HBCU classics to me personally that don't make sense. I get it, with all like, do we have the capacity to hold fans and stuff like that. It was the same thing with like Morehouse State taking on Howard in the New York City HBCU Classic at MetLife.
Oh yeah, that Brick
Yeah.
City Classic was something awful. Like because
Yeah,
fans didn't show up.
exactly.
Game was
And
good. Fans didn't show up.
yeah, like have that game on campus. And again, Coach Cofield, I know you're going to say something right now. That's an HBCU Division II. You can host them on Howard campus. I don't know why Howard didn't want to just keep that money.
Howard, have you been to Howard? Howard is tiny.
I've seen that stadium. I know what you're talking. I've seen it.
It's tiny.
But they can get extra bleachers. I've seen them do it before. It's not hard. It's not hard.
True story. I went to DC for a conference, and I rode. I got a little e-scooter, and I rode through Howard campus with my FAMU shirt on. True story.
And you would live.
What? Man, Howard ain't gonna do nothing.
Man,
They're not like that.
Man, I had some classmates from Rikers that went there, and I heard some things. Good luck. Maybe things have changed.
Just because something is doesn't mean it has to be, and that's a lot of problems with our fair share of schools in both the MEAC and SWAC.
They probably looked at it. He don't know no better. He's from down south.
At the FCS level, it's always going to be money talks, and I think that's where a lot of HBCUs are just embattled right now. It's just how do the funds match up? But at least I didn't buy tickets to the game because I would have been hot.
Yeah.
Well, one thing about FAMU, they travel everywhere they play. They bring a crowd because they got alumni. We got alumni all over the country. Because I remember when they played in Detroit, man, they sold the place out.
Yeah.
And FAMU, anytime they go on the road, they're gonna draw a crowd. So it's, it makes sense for them. And if you're gonna do a class, you better do it with FAMU. Don't everybody else don't.
We missed out on an Ivy League showdown with Princeton. That was in the works, I think, in 2018.
Yeah, it was part of a proposal of Ivy Leagues playing HBCUs.
Ivy Leagues versus HBCUs, and I thought that was probably at the time it was before COVID, so I thought that was going to be a great idea. But looking at how the landscape has changed, get those dollars on campus. All right, guys, let's keep it rolling. Let's go ahead and jump into some week number 6 scores. Man, I don't even know how to get this started, so we're just going to get it out the way. Man, Trojans hang a 70 piece on Leon, and Eddie, I'm going to just let you sit this one out for a minute.
I'll say my piece in a few.
It was pretty much just kind of a Lincoln just being frustrated. I believe the Nice loss going into the Ware County loss just really, really just riled Lincoln up. Them boys were mad, and they took out all of their frustration, angst, and pain on Leon. And it was just an onslaught from the beginning, and they just never let up. I think the more impressive thing about it was just the Lincoln backup defense. They held the shutout going through the fourth quarter to end out the game when the starters had been pulled. So that kind of shows what Lincoln is going to be bringing back in the years to come. If those kids can stay on that squad, that's a pretty dominant defense. I always like to keep up with Coach Lyles and what he posts on Facebook. And, as a strength and conditioning coach, I think he was probably more impressed with their efforts than any of the other coaches because he works out with those guys all the time. He knows who's the stronger of the underclassmen and all those guys coming up. I think that was more of the showcase of the Lincoln future team than the current one. And really, that was pretty much all she wrote. It just was more of a Lincoln putting on a clinic than anything.
I expected Lincoln to win, but I didn't expect this score. I thought Leon had gotten to a certain level where they could play a tough game for a couple of quarters. I knew they would struggle against Lincoln. Lincoln has a lot of firepower, great defensive players. They got some great coaching staff, and I was very surprised at the score. And I think that it was 70 points by the third quarter. And it surprised me. I'm totally surprised. I thought it was going to be a lot better than that.
Yeah, shout out Jonathan Ferris, long time man. I don't think I think I think Jonathan Ferris might just bleed green and gold if you cut him open. Shout out to Jonathan Ferris, watching from Prattville, Alabama. But yeah, Lincoln. I mean, it was just, and you can see like Leon. I think at one point they had a punt that just backed them up in their own, uh, inside their own 10, and Lincoln just came in and just snubbed it. And before you knew it, I mean, really before you blinked, it was like 28-0.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So we got the scoreboard. Scoreboard's wrong here for Walton and Rickards, but that is the correct game. But yeah, you can see the lines.
Correct game,
the lines,
correct score.
Yeah, the lines tearing it up, and it reminded me of when. Do you guys remember maybe back 20? Man, I forget how long ago it was, but they played a team from Tampa called Hudson. They were like a brand new school, and they just rolled them. That's what it kind of reminded me of. I think that game was 77-0, but it was wild, and they could just kind of do anything they want. But you started to see it. So we talked about kind of the big brother, little brother dynamic, and then you start to see Lincoln drops a couple, and then you start to look at things around town. Leon wins a couple in a row. You start to see the chirping. All of a sudden, you forget about history, and you see kind of the transcendence. So I think that kind of added to the Lincoln fire here. The talk and everything kind of going on, and yeah, when you got it right, you got to feed the hot hand. And then, of course, with these rankings and stuff, that Max Preps likes to sprinkle in a little margin of victory here. Evidently, the FHSA carves a lot of that out, but that still kind of plays into some tertiary points situations. So that is one thing that schools are.
Looks like we lost Jupe, but we'll get him back here shortly. For me, I'll say, in the words of Stephen A. Smith, when he likes to. There he is. Welcome back, Jupe.
Sorry, Jupe. I think you were in the middle of your point.
Yeah. What were you saying?
I don't know. I say a lot of things, but I think kind of the big thing of it was the teams are being incentivized to run up the score just with the new point system. It's not a direct marker, but as one of the tertiary markers of the rankings as things get really into the weeds. And that's one contributor to why we do see a lot of these high scores, is because that does kind of get sprinkled in the margin. But yeah, I think you all hit it on the head. Lincoln was pissed, and they had an opportunity to go through a cathartic process and get all those grievances out on the football field.
Yeah. In the words of Stephen A. Smith, when he likes to clown on the Cowboys, you could probably say this one felt like it was over before it even begun. First off, for the Trojans, they stood on business after their back-to-back losses, and how they lost. Yeah, they took out their anger and frustration out on a school rival district opponent at that. And yeah, they stood on business. Now, on the other side of it, for Leon, you wonder, like for Coach Bell, after this is a learning moment, not just in the game of football, but it also involves here and in here, how, you get back up from this and keep moving on throughout the rest of the season. Because this is going to hurt. This is going to sting for some time for these young men. But, the goal is to keep, the hope to just finish the season moving forward. You still got a district game later on down the road. The rest of the schedule is still manageable and winnable, and that's what you got to do. You got to learn to keep on fighting, and you got to learn to just respond and answer back. Will it be tough again to forget this? Absolutely. But that's the game of life at the same time, gentlemen. You get back up and you keep going.
Lincoln offense, 532 yards of total offense. Taylor Jacobs, Junior, 9 of 12 for 253 yards in the air and 3 touchdowns. 8 different Trojans scored, and it was really running back by committee. Shout out to Lincoln's kicker, Thomas Arnold. He was very busy, 8 of 8 on PATs. Um, yeah, honestly, to look at what Lincoln has coming up in the future, it's still too early to figure out if they can make a deep run in the playoffs. I think the bracket. I mean, honestly, I don't know that we could speculate what it would look like right now because we're still maybe 5-6 weeks out from the playoffs. But Lincoln's schedule goes Gadsden County at home, at Childs, at Trinity Christian in Jacksonville, at home against Gabi, and then finishing out the year against Rickers. So they only leave the city once for their remaining games. It looks favorable for them to be if especially with what they were able to put up last Friday. It looks favorable for them. I think they will have a couple of tests, but Trojans really have everything in front of them if they really want to. I mean, this could be a team that could finish 8-2, or I'm not sure. I don't want to speculate, but schedule looks favorable for Lincoln. Let's keep it rolling. Sewanee, Wakulla, and the War Eagles, man, bounced back in a big way with a 30-23 win over the Bulldogs. And man, if this was a back and forth contest a little bit between both of these rivals, it was rivalry week last week. We had quite a few matchups between just teams that just don't get along, to say the least. But this was a big one, and I do think that for Wakulla, this was a must win, especially if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. This was a district game, I believe, and it was really, to me, I think it was more important for the War Eagles to get back into a rhythm. They're still a young team, but looking at how, really how close this one was, I think it was one of those where they really showed a lot of grit. But for Wakulla, I think it had more so to do with being able to keep the lights on for their playoff chances more than anything. Sewanee really in battle this year. And I believe I heard some news that they had lost a couple of players prior to the season starting. But still it's 2 young teams. But for Wakulla, I think this is the one that they needed.
I think I watched part of this game, and it was pretty evenly matched. At first, I thought that Sewanee was going to take it, and in the fourth quarter, it looked like Wakulla pulled everything together and put them away. Well, at the end of the game, Sewanee had an opportunity to tie the game up. Couldn't do it. Defense stopped them. And this, this is, I think, what you see Sewanee with one victory, it doesn't look good for the rest of the season for them. You gotta win these kind of games, and especially the district games. And Coach Hall, he get his guys together, and they're like, Wakulla finding ways to win. That's all that counts.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about the history between these two, and I think that's what stood out pretty well for Wakulla. And of course, it was a district game. Heard some of this on the radio on Wave 94.1 FM. And if I'm not mistaken, they won this. They won this game at Live Oak, if I'm not mistaken, in Sewanee.
Yeah. It was.
Which gentlemen, you've said that can be a challenging place at times to play. So yeah, props out to Coach Cleese and the War Eagles on getting their 3rd win of the season. They now are above 500, and looking at the rest of their schedule, they too have chances to finish out pretty strong. And they have Godby later on down the road, and I think Baker County as well. So the district title could still be up for grasp.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And they have that contest is kind of takes it almost into a winner-take-all for that game on October 10th versus Godby, as these are kind of setting up as kind of the 2 favorites to have that kind of de facto championship. But the district is tough. Another game that's 1 score. We talked about all the games except for 2 last year. Every single one, decided within 10 points. And another close contest. But for Wakulla, the defense stepped up big. Gerald Randolph had 2 picks, including the game-sealing interception. Because, like you all said, this was a back-and-forth affair. Swanee took the early lead, and they went back and forth, exactly what you want to see from a district contest. But to Mark's point, this was really huge for Wakulla. I think if the playoffs started today, it puts them in the 5 seed. Swanee on the outside looking in at the moment, but a chance to go get it with a couple teams, including Baker County, in their way. So they've got a matchup against Baker in a couple weeks. But yeah, it was kind of weird. And then Wakulla was down a kicker, so they were going for 2 on everything. And it kind of seemed like a gritty performance, but the defense showed up big, and they were able to get enough conversions. They converted 3 out of 4 2-point conversions, which is pretty good for the metrics and everything. But the ground game, especially, that you got it up there, Mark. Owen Cleese, season high in rushes. Season high rush, yeah.
90 yards on the ground, getting it done with his legs, putting the team on his back, literally. 18 of 23 for 256. If it looked like Wakulla was going to break the game open. It had 22 points, just rattled off in the second quarter, and it looked like they were going into halftime with a lot of momentum. And, very methodically, Swanee kind of clawed their way back into it to kind of become a real threat. But yeah, it just the second half just kind of turned into what felt like a traditional SEC style game, and Wakulla came out on top. But yeah, the defense really held strong, to your point.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Maybe if it was John and JD Jones, but you can't get away with a runaway quite often over there at Langford. So you knew they were going to fight back, but you got a good contest. But the door's still open for Swanee to sneak in the playoffs if we're doing point projections and all that good stuff. Never too early, right, Coach?
Yep. Finish.
All right, this one was a shocker. I did not see this one coming, but man, Holmes County pulls, I would think, probably a major upset and gets the shutout win over their arch rival, Chipley. It was Bonifay versus Chipley. And I don't know, for those of you all who are not familiar with Panhandle football like that, this is one of the games. You don't miss it. You can smell it before you get to it because they're out there cooking and barbecuing hours before the game. They're smoking something out there. And honestly, the way that this game was set up, it really looked like Chipley was just on a roll. They were one of the hottest teams out in the Panhandle, starting out 5-0 on the year. And you could just, we mentioned it last week, but this is one of those where you throw the records out. This is just pure old fashioned. We don't like y'all. They don't like us. And Holmes County walked away with a astounding 16-0 victory over Chipley. Tigers shut out, and I did not see this one coming.
Man, this was a surprise to me. Holmes been struggling, 1 and 2 point losses, and Chipley been rolling. And all of a sudden, I look at the score, and I'm like, "Is that correct?" I had to go check around to make sure it wasn't the other way, because I just knew that Chipley was going to take this one. As much problems as Holmes had scoring during the season, they did. That defense showed up that Friday night, and they took a big step forward going to trying to make the playoffs. So now they're 3-3 at a team. I think they started off 0-3. So they look. Don't look down. Here they come. And you got to pick them. I think that's one of the ones we didn't get last week, right? Tough loss for Chipley. Tough win for Holmes County Bonifay.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All season, for their first 3 games and even in their wins, like how close Holmes was having it with all of their opponents. And I just felt like, especially in a rivalry game, everybody shows up and plays different. Who is to say that all of these games were to prep them up and to save the strength built up to put into the effort for this matchup and not only win, but win in a shutout at that, 16-0. When I check the scores, I'm like, oh, wow, that's an upset. And where was this game played at? Was it at Chipley or at Holmes?
I was out in Bonifay.
Oh, look at that. So you're on your home turf, man. You're going to step up. And
it's
voila. Yeah.
an interesting little stadium because during the off season they have rodeos and they do a livestock show and everything like that on the field. So it's an interesting place if you've ever been out there, but it's more so of the in that community. For people who don't know, Chipley and Bonifay are only like maybe 20-15 minutes apart. Like it's just the only thing that separates them is a county line. That's literally it.
Oh
And
wow.
so this is one of those where it was just kind of like, yeah, everybody was out there, but this was a huge win for Holmes County to pull to 500 on the year. And I think for Chipley, it just kind of, you you hate to have losses like this when you have all your momentum. You want to beat your rival. It's bigger than going 10-0. You do want to go undefeated, but you got to beat your rival. And I think it's just one of those where this one's just gonna sting for the next year because it's bragging rights. So you got to see these people in the grocery store, at church, when you're shopping. You don't
Yeah,
you want to hold your head high.
we all get that feeling, definitely. And especially like you said, these two are 20 minutes up the road. That's very similar to the Mud Bowl down there between Belgrade Central and Pahokee. Wow, I didn't know they were that close.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, kind of similar to like Bluntstown, Liberty County situation
Yeah.
as well. Yep. But yeah, I mean, the defense came up big. I think there was one a couple times early that Chipley was going in for a score to tie it up, but they Holmes County stood them up on downs at like the 11-yard line. They were on the way in. And then I know that a couple big instances kind of down the stretch that they were kind of holding them up as well. But I mean, to Eddie's point, you're at home, you get a couple of big plays. There was another game in the capital city kind of similar on Friday night that had you surprised a little bit because of some early turnovers and some big plays here. And they were able to take care of business. And when you're playing good defense, you could be at home, you could be on the road. Defense always travels, or defense always plays good. So they just had a little more defense.
Yeah, Ian Seegers was getting it done for the Blue Devils, 8 of 12. Not a whole lot of work, but 107 yards. Really, it's a low scoring affair, which we expected, but this is one of those where it's just, man, another unbeaten falls, and man, Holmes County pulls to 500. Chipley falls to 5-1. Moving on, Liberty County edges Sneeze 21-20, and look out, the Bulldogs are back on the winning side of things. They are at now a 3-2 record. So it Sneeze, but this is one of those where, like, I looked at, for some reason, man, it's Coach Tranquil, when those guys, when they're at home, they're a completely different team. I think they had the big road win against Franklin earlier in the season, but man, when Liberty's at home, they seem to have I don't know if the crowd that just galvanizes them, but this is a different team when they're at home.
Mark, this was another surprise for me because I didn't see Liberty winning this game. I thought Snead was a more consistent football team, and Liberty was up and down. And man, they came in and they're like somebody missed the extra point. I don't know quite how it went. I didn't get to see it. So a 1-point loss, man, that hurt. It hurts. It hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw this too, and I thought I had Liberty County winning. I just didn't think it was going to be that close. And nice to see the Sneeds Pirates putting up a fight, in this one. Like you said, Coach. Yeah, it's painful to lose by a point because you were right there, just right there.
Yeah, it looks like for the most part that this is where we get down into where the points really matter, especially in the rural classifications. There's a lot at stake over the next 4 to 5 games, or excuse me, 4 to 5 weeks, and it just has more so to do about how these teams are stacking up, because it's almost like, man, when you get out the Panhandle and in the outer skirts of the Big Bend, a lot of these schools, what you find is that you can't really pay attention to records too much because it's just any Friday night. And teams end up cannibalizing each other. So it's just kind of like you can have a team that's really on a hot streak, and then they stumble and fall on the road, and you're not sure quite what happened. And for the most part, it's just this is kind of what we've come to expect from rural football in this part of the area, where it's just these teams are so familiar with one another. There's a universe somewhere where they just see you before you're coming.
Yeah, Mark, when you're playing teams, these teams are not far apart neither. Uh, it's a struggle because you know each other, like we were talking about. You might be going. Some of your guys might be keying to each other. Uh, it is tough going in the panhandle playing a football game, and you can't take anything for granted. Being at home, that was a surprise to me. I thought Sneeze was
That's a
playing a lot
tough
better
thing.
football.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
were leading by the looks of it. It was 14-0 at one point.
Beautiful pass here over the middle. And you can
Nice.
just, I think Sneeze may have gotten a little shell shocked, starting again when you jump on a team like that, especially if you're expecting to see a certain look. There's another beautiful run there, great move. But yeah, Liberty County, they had a good mix, pass and run, and really was a difference maker. And I think Liberty is one of those teams that could be on an uptick.
halfway through the season, you see, you're either getting better or you're getting worse, and look like they're
Yeah.
getting better.
Yeah, especially like you said, Coach, getting in the mid part of the season, especially for all of those rule classes in the rule division that are trying to make a playoff push to make the rule class state playoffs. And then there are others that are going to be trying to fight into that final bubble spot. And if not, they're going to hopefully get an invite to the Florida Invitational. More on that when we get close to like playoff time.
Yeah, but it is cool to see the kind of uptick, and you have seen that under Coach T of Liberty County. So I think to your point, Liberty County definitely on the rise. And sometimes you just get a weird mismatch. So the last couple of years, they've got kind of that fun and gun spread look. It's not your dads or your uncles or your predecessors, your brothers wing T Liberty County, right? Or the I formation, just run downhill every single time. This is a little bit of a different twist. And sometimes just schematically, you get a team that something beneficial gives you a little bit of an edge that you need. And if you hit those extra points, good to go.
Yeah, big win for Liberty County as they, Liberty County was really dormant. I think they've had, some things go their way. They got kind of a athletic weight room facility they just built. So just some things that really, add some staples to the program. So moving on around the area, Godby goes on the road and comes back with a very big win. I think kind of turns some heads a little bit. Baker's one of those places, I think, of the teams that have gone out there. I think Rickards had a huge playoff win out there to advance to state semifinals a few years back. And I think that's it. Baker's just one of those places, like it could be a Bermuda Triangle. It's the atmosphere is unreal. This is where they really shut down the lights in the town. Everybody's out there to the game. And so for Godby to go out there and steal a win, especially a district win, that's a really, really impressive victory. It keeps their hopes of being able to lock up their district alive. A lot of it has to do with just how they fare moving forward, but 17-13 gets the job done for Godby, and they've been able to pull even to 500 on the year.
It looks like defense is the answer last Friday night, because a lot of these games, you see a lot of great defense being played, and as the season gets better, the defense usually gets ahead. But it looks like a lot of these teams are putting it together, and it's not just easy to score. Going to Baker County has always been a tough place to play. And Godby went out there and, pulled in a tight game, great defense, and a solid offensive performance. Once again, congratulations to Coach Austin. He's like these guys after they had a lot of turmoil at the beginning of the season are kind of putting things together.
Yeah, to add on to that, Coach, yeah, they have just found a way to turn things around from the tough start because now, what is this, 3 wins in a row? And now you are officially 2-0 in your district, which sets up a really good matchup in the near future with Wakulla that may determine the title. But just looking on this highlight reel right here, the fumble recovery, good awareness by the defense to just
Ooh.
make plays happen. Look at that. Just an awesome performance, and just by the looks of that place here on this highlight reel, yeah, it's a good win on the road. You're at 500, and now you can keep this going. It's just amazing the turnaround that we've seen by the Godby Cougars.
Yeah, I love that they're getting their kind of big playmaker of the ball. Simmons, here's his 12-yard rushing touchdown. You can see here. Hey, but you get the big dogs, you get your players, your big ballers, Mr. 4-star out there, get hits and touches. You got to feed your stars. And the defense, to your point, 3 times, gentlemen, 3 times in the last 7 minutes, Baker County went all the way down inside the Godby 20. So they were going in to score. So this was at 17-10. 17-13, and then 17-13 again. 3 times Godby stood them up in those 3 possessions. They got a total of 3 points. That's the difference in the ball game. They were able to hold them, and a couple touchdowns from your rock star. That's how you get it done. But yeah, the district of defense, how about Wakulla and Godby showing up big time on defense both ends? And how about some recognition? Godby, Baker County, Suwannee, Wakulla, 5-0 against those teams the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You win your district. It's not the olden days, right? But you still win your district. You get into the playoffs, and they know how to play their district opponents. Cougars, like we said last week, got it going on now 3 in a row, winning not just with the firepower of the offense and Doherty and Simmons putting up 40, right? This is a different feel. Dangerous for people on the Cougars schedule right now.
Yeah, this is kind of the crucial time where you really want to be in the driver's seat. You don't want to be caught up into, I would say, just kind of that no man's land where you're waiting on the rankings and points to come out, win your district, and you're in. And unfortunately, we see some really good teams get caught up in that, and it's just really hard to watch because you know that there's some teams that really have gotten it done on the field. They just have tripped up. But this is one of those where you go on the road and you get a tough win like this. It really builds momentum going down the stretch because the way the Cougars are set up for the remainder of the year it's still not going to be easy. It's just, man, you got a huge matchup against Niceville on the road, then Wakulla, then at Lincoln, at Dothan. It's still stacked, but you want to be able to at least stay healthy through it all. And being able to get a big district win like this allows you to stay out in front of things. But yeah, Godby, a big winner over Baker County 17-13. And then keeping it rolling, Mosley, a big winner versus previously undefeated Milton. And that's how you go into your bye week if you're Mosley. Shaking off the first loss of the season to open the season, got shell-shocked against Bay. And ever since then, Mosley's just been motoring through their schedule. Milton was a tough out to get, and Mosley just handled business. They went in and really it was one of those where they just kind of used the ground game to kind of dominate before they started spreading the football around. Milton just got really overpowered. Mosley has a lot of what I would like to call just weapons all over the field. But the biggest thing is that they did not seem to turn over the football, didn't get rattled, and were able to take down an undefeated team in pretty dominating fashion.
Right. I'm not surprised at this game with the score. Mosley has all kind of talent all over the field. I got a chance to watch them play against Rickards, and man, they got receivers. It was just wide open offensive attack. Defense played well, and looked like they played some good defense here last week, and came away with a victory. That's 5 in a row. Man, you can't. That's better. That's about as good as it gets. And look like Coach Wilmington is having his way with his guys, regrouping and playing solid football the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's nice. It's nice that you see a lot of these teams that had that one loss that really points out what they need to work on and improve in there. And when you see that in games like this, it's just amazing of what we've seen from the Mosley Dolphins on this turnaround and a good win against Milton. I mean, I heard this was quite the offensive performance right here. Nice pass right there. Good awareness, good vision, following your
Look at the
blockers.
blocking.
Yeah, just an all-out good performance. And if they stick to it, man, who is to say? I mean, this team could finish 9-1. It's possible.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes you need a little bit of a shake up and kind of get things going. And so maybe this is kind of that shake up. But I love the mental toughness going against a team that you know you're going to have to see 40, 45, 50 runs. And, they're averaging 4, 5, 6 yards a carry to stay in it. And you saw a lot of bend, don't break defense. Like even a couple times that Milton was able to get him in the passing game, they tackled him in front, delay, delay, delay. And then when you get to your offensive opportunity, then you got to go respond. So let's go get the hype plays, these big plays that you see here on offense. For about 3-4 years now, we've been talking about Mosley's offensive line. So that's nothing new. But when you give your quarterback some time like this, you take care of the football, you put yourself in a really good position. But yeah, shout out to the defense because that is tough. And Milton was still getting theirs in the run game. But when they got down to the red zone, they tightened up, only allowed 2 scores.
Yeah, Mosley just too many big plays, and as you can see that this team really we've been watching them for quite a while now. They have the ability to just if they're at midfield, they have pretty much just as good as opportunity to score as if they were in the red zone. This is one of those where you look at how the Dolphins are built. This team is designed to take advantage of big plays, whether it's on the ground or through the air. They've got weapons everywhere. And this is where you kind of have to go and say, okay, first loss, kind of put things in perspective, but they have handled business pretty well going down the stretch. So far for the Dolphins, they have taken out a pretty decent Rickards team in the 55-41 victory. They took out a pretty decent Navarre team 36-16, handled Escambia on the road, and then knocking off previously unbeaten Milton. This is a team where, now they're battle tested, and you look at the remaining schedule, got a tough road contest against Niceville, but this is one of those where this is not quite the same Niceville, then at Arnold, Gulf Breeze, and then closing out the season against Florida High. There's a universe somewhere where Mosley ends the year with just one loss. So it's just looking at how can they stay healthy and be locked in for those remaining ball games. But the schedule does look favorable. All of these games are winnable for the Dolphins.
Yeah, and like you said at the beginning of the season, Mark, that it's been a minute since we've seen a team from the Panama City area, make the postseason and make a deep run.
Yeah, and Mosley might be your district favorite right now, depending on how the way you look at things. And so they've got the Rickards win, but then they just have the 2 left. Like you were saying, Mark, you got Arnold, you got Niceville. You might not even have to win both of those. But of course, if you win both those, you sweep and get in automatically. But I think there was a little Mosley magic in the air. You look at also Friday night up in Charlottesville, former Mosley Dolphin, shout out Randy Pittman Jr., one in the air, one on the ground, one receiving. And so he fueled his boys. There was almost a spiritual Mosley magic going on Friday night to help them break down the undefeated Milton. I mean, Pittman was trying to put the team on his back up there.
But yeah, that'll do it for week number 6. Let's get to the other scores. Franklin County, a huge winner over Graceville, 48-6. And how about South Walton handling their counterparts to the north, 13-0, a big winner. Seahawks over the Braves. FAMU falls to Maclay at home, 14-42. Marauders a big winner there. Port St. Joe falls to Bozeman 20-33, and Bozeman bouncing back in a big way. That was a really big win for the Bucks. Wewa Hitchcock, a big winner over Cottondale, and that one was a little bit. I almost teased that one a little bit. That one was a little bit of a battle as the Gators come out on top, 24-16. Hamilton County takes care of business against Jefferson County, 32-0. Choctaw all over Arnold, 40-7. Bay, a big winner against Pensacola, 47-28. Rickards back in a big way against Fort Walton Beach at home at the Dead Sea, 16-3 over there on the blue turf. Bluntstown, a huge winner over W.S. Neal out of Alabama, 38-7. Columbia Falls in a huge matchup against St. Augie Dog down in St. Augustine, 21-41. Other scores from around the area. Childs bounces back in a big way against Impact Christian, 36-22, a winner there. Freeport gets hammered by Pensacola Catholic, 58-17, ending their undefeated streak. And look at Rutherford throwing the W up in the win column. First win on the year for the Rams as they're a big winner, 32-15 over Mariana. Gaston County 0-4 on the year, another loss against the First Academy, 42-14. And that's just one of those, man. Every time I see it's just the way that team was set up prior to the season and the schedule and the opponents they got to play, man. Just wondering what could have been.
Yeah.
Lafayette, a big winner over Wildwood, 42-13. And then Vernon takes the L in what looks to be like a forfeit against Lighthouse Christian. Still winless on the year, and that'll do it for week number 6 as we roll right along into week number 7, and then just feast your eyes on the schedule, gentlemen. Take it all in. We still got plenty of big games across the slate. A couple of rivalry matchups, but man, some undefeated teams. We got some big games. Lincoln taking on Gadsden County. And this is, again, we just kind of talked about this, man, what could have been. But let's go ahead and jump into a Florida High hosting Childs, big crosstown matchup at the Shack, Seminoles, Timberwolves, and the records kind of really don't tell the whole story here. For Florida High, this has kind of been where they want to be. This is a very tough schedule for the Seminoles. They've got their work cut out for them, but this is a golden opportunity for Florida High to snatch another victory at home in favorable conditions, but you really can't put anything past the Timberwolves. They've got a very nasty front 5 on the offensive line. They do run the football pretty efficiently. This is a methodical team. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a low-scoring affair. Florida High still has Gaston County coming up, Madison County coming up, Bishop Moore coming up, and then at Mosley, all of those on the road. So this is the last hurrah for the Seminoles at home, barring being able to get through their district, which is possible that they could secure home field at least for the first round. But yeah, this is going to be a huge game for the Seminoles.
Yeah, I think Florida High coaching staff, the veteran staff, they'll pull it together. Schedule looks pretty tough going down the end. And I think they will eke into the playoffs and playing against Childs, which has really improved this year. A tough team to match up against, especially with the running game that Childs has, can keep control of the game, keep Florida High's offense on the sideline. I look for a good matchup coming down to the wire, close game, and we'll see who wins. It's gonna be tough.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a fan of this matchup right here. I feel like both of these schools, these programs, are so familiar with one another because I've seen Childs and Florida High have good matchups in other sports. Now in football, I can't recall when was the last meeting they had, but I'm expecting this one to be a really good one, a battle between strength, will, determination, which team is going to be fast and faster, strong, stronger, and who scores first and gets momentum going. And since this is Florida High's last home game of the season, it's no surprise that it's probably senior night for them too. So they're going to want to look to go out with a big bang, but it ain't going to come that easy because The Charles Timberwolves have a really good offensive line from the highlights I've seen, and their defense also holds up pretty well.
Yeah, this one will be fun. It will potentially be high scoring. I don't know the way these teams have been slinging it around this year, but the last 3 games have been decided by on average 5 points.
Yeah.
So the games in recent history have all been very close. I think Florida High's won 5 of the last 6 with that lone one in 2017. I think that was the Garrett Green era. But as far as this contest, it's going to be a good matchup. Always tough to play down in the Shack. And these two teams, I think, play better at their respective home stadiums. I think Charles plays better at home than they do at Gene Cox. And I think when you get Florida High at home, there's something about the woods that surround these stadiums that there's something to it.
I keep waiting for Florida High to just go ahead and clear a path between the trees. Just do it like Clemson does. Roll out a little garnet carpet, run down the hill. Just make it official.
Put the student section right there on the hill, just like how they have it at Clemson, Step Valley.
A couple of 1 or 2 fireworks, something to make it special. I just look at it as this game is going to be close in score. I believe that I can see it being easily a 2-point, 3-point, 5-point game. To me, it's the Florida High secondary and defense linebackers against G5 and Cade Fryer. Cade Fryer averaging 61 yards a game in receptions, and it's really can you get Childs off the field on 3rd down, and that's what I want to see if Florida High, if their defense is capable of that.
Yeah, because you saw it going back to the last game. That was one thing Godby did really effectively, is Godby was able to shut that down. But then the week before, you look at Rickards, and that was the one thing that kind of got him every 3rd down, and he couldn't get Childs off the field. So really excited to see Florida High is getting that local scouting report, can take that forward. But to your point, should be close.
All right. Another big one. Jefferson County, NFC, this one out in Monticello. And, most of the time, I would just say that for both of these teams, they've been in battle, just really trying to put the program back together on both sides. Coach Bright and Coach McCorvey, respectively, are really trying to breathe some life into their programs. And we could see some fireworks here. I believe that Jefferson definitely has their work cut out for them, NFC being probably a little bit more experienced. But again, this is one of those where, because of where it is, Jefferson County at home, there could be some fireworks in this one. NFC, I definitely think that everything goes through Rozier. This kid is just all over the place on defense and on offense. How can Jefferson County key in on Rozier to see if they can try to maybe throw a monkey wrench into the spokes of the NFC bicycle, as it were? But it's just one of those where you look at how these two teams, they're used to meeting up with one another during the regular season at some point. This is a familiar matchup, but just a little bit of a different twist, as both programs not used to being in the positions that they're in now.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup. Like you said, both of these teams are trying to get reestablished. In the past, with pretty good programs, went down for a little while. It might be one of the more interesting matchups of the week, because these are games that you find out where your team is. I think they're pretty evenly matched, and the team that gets a good start might take this game very easy.
Yeah, been quite the challenge, however, for the Jefferson County Tigers. In their 2-4 record, I know 2 of those 4 losses have been to Tallahassee teams. Lost to Maclay, lost to Leon. So they've had it tough against teams in the capital city. But being at home and with the chance to sort of bounce back after you had a tough loss last week, and if I'm not mistaken, got shut out. So definitely the players are very eager to get on the scoreboard and to get their third win of the season. And so is NFC, especially with a chance to get the record even at 500 and to get back into playoff conversation for the rural division.
Yeah, for sure. And you got to make sure you take care of the run. That was one thing that Trenton kind of got going against Jefferson County a couple weeks ago, and then to a lesser extent, Hamilton County last week for Jeffco. And so being able to kind of stop and plug up that run, you have Arias Burt, and then you have kind of the rest of the attack that you're talking about, Mark, to be able to kind of solidify that. But this is a game, you jump in the old time machine, you go back into late 2000. This is like headliner state quality game of the week here. So a flashback to former times. But yeah, this one will be interesting. I'm excited to see what we get out there in Monticello and see what we have to offer and see if what's my guy, the dual threat quarterback out there. His name's Spearman. I think it's Spearman.
Yeah,
It's slipping my mind. But see if we can get him going, because when they do have it going on, like we saw against Vernon not too long ago, they get the momentum and it kind of feeds into itself, and you can really start to see them steamroll.
Yeah, I think Coach Bright has his team in really good position for the future. I think a lot of their underclassmen, especially 10th grade class, is going to buy in to the kind of program that he's running. You can see the areas of discipline, especially even in their losses. You can see the discipline starting to take shape. This is not going to be the same Jefferson County team of old that we're used to seeing. I think this team is definitely, a little bit in battle still, but definitely the future is going to be looking bright. No pun intended. But for NFC, this is one where I think they're going to have to really lock in. It's still going to be a tough road environment. Jefferson is just one of those fun places to go to. If you ever want to see a good, just down home country football game, going out there to Monticello, get you some fried gizzards.
Oh, the food. And you also told me, I think, like their stadium nickname, their stadium nickname is also Death Valley as
Death
well.
Valley. Yep. Death Valley.
Look at that.
Shout out to Coach Spears. I think he coined that when he was there. But that will be a fun one with both teams sitting at 2 wins apiece on the year. Moving on, Battle of the Unbeaten. This one's going to be a good one. McClay, undefeated, sitting at 5-0, hosting Taylor County. The Bulldogs also sitting at 5-0. I believe is Taylor coming off a bye week?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, 2 weeks to
well-rested Taylor County Bulldog team. And, man, this one's going to be a fun one. Looking at how this one stacks up, man, the McClay defense, very physical, but how do they match up against Jabez Glanton? He is the Bulldogs offense, or at least I not to rain on anybody else's parade, but I mean, kid is averaging $116 on the ground running, getting the job done under center. I think he's got 8 or 9 touchdown passes on the year through the air. So, man, this is going to be a fun one to watch. McClay definitely physical, and they've got playmakers on the wings, and they can. The thing I like about McClay is that they can wear you down. They can really, really wear you down over 4 quarters, and if you let them hang around, I think they've got a great shot. It's just who can be able to create that separation. I see this being. I don't know if it's going to be a low scoring affair. I think this one's probably going to. I don't know if it's going to light up the scoreboard, but I definitely see some points on the board.
Mark, this is going to be the toughest matchup for McClay all season long. Taylor County is one of the best teams, one of the better teams in the Big Bend area. It's going to be very difficult. They got size, they got experience, and they got speed. And this will be one of the biggest tests that McClay has all season. Fortunately, they're not in the same division, so classification. So it's just a test. It's just a test. And if McClay wins this, man, they got state championship hopes ahead of them if they can take this game.
Oh yeah, man. This matchup is just exciting. The past few meetings, we've seen these two teams play each other, and they've been shootouts. I mean, Jupe, you remember that one that we did where it was decided in overtime, and how exciting that matchup was, and how back and forth that battle was. And the previous season before that, of course, it was also a shootout down there in Perry. So, and now here they are playing each other again, but this time where the stakes are even higher than what the several past meetings have been. Both are undefeated, and I'm excited. I'm going to make time to watch this. This is at McClay, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. Oh yeah. So I'm going to definitely make time to watch this one on Friday.
It's on the 4Q network.
I was gonna say, don't miss that one, Coach. Yeah, of course, streaming live on the Four Quarters Online Media Network. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, would we label this game of the week or no?
Two undefeated teams. What you want? Yeah, absolutely.
It's two undefeated teams. I think it should be game of the week regardless.
Yeah, I mean, when you get this far deep, absolutely. And it'll be really interesting because I think each team has seen somebody that you can kind of relate to. I think when you look for the Taylor County side, that battle with Wakulla stands out to me. I could see like a Owen, Cleese, Bo Bashir similarity there. And on the flip side, I can see from a dual threat quarterback that's looking to run a lot, you can kind of see when McClay battled Valwood and Snellgrove. He's solid, he's quick, he's elusive, kind of like what you see Bez Glanton. I love both these teams on the line. Trenches are going to be clattering. We're going to crack some helmets out there.
Warfare on this one.
Oh, yeah. I could imagine the crowd right now like it was a while back when we were doing that game, Jupe. Taylor County brought their band. McClay had the whole side. The whole place is going to be filled, man.
There's going to be more. There's going to be more Taylor County people than there was last time. I'm very confident in that. But, yeah, I love this series. You know, both of these coaches have strong influences out of the Steve Price coaching tree, so they kind of reignited this kind of game set. So last three matchups, to your point, Eddie. 2024, it was 35-28. 2023, it was 35-34. 2022, it was 50-43. So they've been lighting it up. They've been scoring a lot, and they've all been close, good games. So I'm hoping for nothing less on Friday.
And the one we did overtime where they blocked the extra point, and then and then McClay scored, and they got the extra point. I think it was 35-34. So, yeah, this could be one of those games where it's going to go down to the wire.
Looking ahead just a little bit, McClay's schedule goes versus Chambers Academy, and that's last home game, then at NFC, at Deerfield Windsor, and then at Walton. And for Taylor County, I think this is arguably more interesting. After McClay, it's versus Chiefland, which is that's going to be a big one. Versus Swanee, at Mariana, at Leon. So Taylor County still has their work cut out for them. McClay, maybe their schedule a little bit more favorable, but that's what's waiting in the wings for both teams. So this will be a good one to watch, and we'll be out there, fourquartersonline.com. Liberty County taking on Wewa, and this one just is, this is good old-fashioned panhandle intrigue for me, with Liberty County coming off a big win, and so is Wewa Hitchcock. The Gators looking to even up at 500. Still some tough spots there, but Liberty County hosting this one, and like I said earlier, the Bulldogs are just a different team at home.
Yeah, Mark, look like Liberty is stepping it up. Team gelling together mid-season. Wewa started off a little better. Had some struggles lately. This should be a nice matchup. Whoever wins this game got a lot to look forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said earlier at the beginning of the episode, the playoff push at the midpoint of the season, especially for all these rural class division schools that are trying to climb up there with their records, with the state rankings as well, because I know it's not just record, it's also ranking, it's also points in the game and everything else. there's teams that want to get high up in those seeds to get into the rural classification playoffs. They don't want to be on the bubble looking on the outside looking in and then hoping to maybe get the invite by the FIT, which is again the Florida Invitational Tournament. But this is a game of importance, I think, for both teams, for Liberty and Wewa Hitchka.
It'll make you interested to see what kind of we'll get historically. Last couple matchups have been 1 or 2 score games, 20-7, 14-7. Which then you go back 2 or 3 years, that explosive Liberty County performance, 34-0. But I could see this one for Liberty County looking just like last week, like a 21-20, 21-7 kind of feel to it. But to Mark's point, this is some old school small ball here in the Panhandle. They'll relish this one.
Yeah, these two teams match up. Actually, they almost look like mirrors. They average is just. I think Liberty averages 23. Wewa averages 24 a game. Lolly for the Bulldogs is definitely one player you're going to have to key in on. 8 touchdowns on the year. We're at the midway point, but this is one of those where. Thank you, John. All right, homecoming for Liberty County, so it's gonna be a big one. So you never want to lose homecoming, so a little bit of spice to sprinkle on that game.
Yeah, that just made it interesting right there.
But I just think you can throw and these two schools are close in proximity, so you can kind of throw the records out a little bit. I just think this is just one of those where to me, this is one of those where I think you're going to see some separation here. Liberty being at home, I think there'll be a little bit of an edge there. They just seem to have a different kind of moxie to them. But yeah, I definitely don't sleep on Wewa Hitchka. This team, like I said, they match up very well with Liberty on both sides of the ball. So this will be an interesting one. Homecoming for the Bulldogs, so this will be a good one. Liberty County sitting at 3-2. Wewa Hitchka sitting at 2-3. Rutherford coming off a big win, taking on Port St. Joe, and can they make it 2 in a row? They are hosting the Tiger Sharks from literally about 30 minutes down the road. Port St. Joe trying to get back on track into the winning side of things, sitting at 2-3. But man, Rutherford really showed a lot of grit last week. You just kind of wonder if things are going to pull together for the Rams. All it takes is one win, and then sometimes things start to click and the kids start to figure it out.
Yeah, you're talking about midway through the season, things start to happen, teams start to gel, and maybe the Rutherford Rams can, get their second win, and maybe Port St. Joe can recuperate from their loss. This is an interesting matchup. Where's the game being held, Lamar?
Oh, it's Panama City.
It's in Panama City. Hey, it should be an interesting one down there on the beach.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a game of who wants it more, And, like you said, Mark, yes, one time is all it takes. One win is all it takes to kind of have that, ignition to the engine finally start and to get things rolling on finishing the season. Forget about what the records are. Keep playing, keep getting better. And with this game being in PCB, you got to like the confidence right now that is now being built up in the Rams. But make no mistake, though, Port St. Joe is going to bring their A game. And so those are some of the best tests for a football team, to go on the road into a challenging area, especially the stadium where I think it's at Neutral Site Stadium in PCB that they're playing at. I've only ever been there like twice. So, yeah, that'll be.
Yeah. Oh man, stadium just slipped my mind.
Oliver, is it Oliver or is it
Cadillac?
Okay.
Yeah. So there you have it. This will be a good test for the Port St. Joe Tiger Sharks as well. Who wants it more? Yep. Who wants it more?
Yeah, and this is big for Port St. Joe. You look at the points, their strength of schedule is good, but as far as their rankings, they're one of those bubble teams. This is kind of a must-win for Port St. Joe because they're fading out of the bottom of the bubble for that rural classification. That Madison to Port St. Joe corridor is dangerous right now. There's a lot of good teams that need wins. and it's going to be a wild race this last kind of 4 or 5 weeks to get there. But I think Port St. Joe's got to have this one.
Yeah. Corbin Butts averaging 100 yards a game for the Tiger Sharks on the ground. Really going to need to be, or at least the offensive line is really going to need to be able to create some holes for him. Rutherford has struggled against the run, this year. They were able, I think the defense stepped up big against Mariana. But, for the Rams, it's really Jaleel Reed. Can he figure out a way to get the job done? He's been team's leading rusher certain games. He's been, trying to find his spots. I think it's Hurd, his primary target in the passing game. And for Rutherford, there's been fight there, but things just haven't clicked. And I think for the Rams, it's just going to be, can we go back and look at what we were able to do correctly in week number 6 and just apply that to what we see against our opponent? But yeah, for Port St. Joe, it's really just, can you get Corbin Butts, in the ground game really, really moving? Because averaging 100 yards a game, if they can create some space, some holes for him, it could be a long night for the Rams. But good news is that Rams are at home, and a home win would be probably the first in a couple of seasons for them.
Oh wow, it's been that long.
No, I think they had a home win last year, but it's, again, still you're talking long time to go without winning a victory at home during the regular season.
I understand.
So Port St. Joe sitting at 2-3, looking to add some points, like Jupe was saying, as we keep it rolling. Huge matchup. Cougars going on the road, taking on Niceville, and again, to me, these teams are evenly matched, like across the board. I had a chance to see Niceville earlier in the year against Lincoln. This is not the same Niceville, but I don't care if you go out there and if you're going out there to Niceville, the stadium by itself is worth at least 2 touchdowns.
Probably more than that. I've been there. It's one of the most challenging,
an intimidating environment to play.
It is.
I played in that stadium. The fans are right on top of you.
Well,
the band is
two
on
bands.
bands.
My last game playing there, I won, so I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, how many touchdowns, Coach? Coach, how many touchdowns?
4.
Yeah, get him, Coach.
Well, welcome to the present.
Oh no, he did.
Welcome to the present.
Oh my
John Brock chiming in. It is one of the better places to watch a Friday. I mean, the atmosphere is definitely. I mean, as a player, I can tell you it's intimidating, but definitely one of the better atmospheres to take in a game. One of the things I think Niceville does very well is they get every student involved.
I was
student section is literally the entire stadium.
And they play on campus, which is easy for the students to get to because they don't have to worry about rides. They can just hang out on campus.
And the stadium also, it sinks in too. So all of that sound, that energy is being put onto the field. This will be a good test for the Godby Cougars. I mean, and if they can find a way to pull it off, which, they can, most definitely. I mean, this will be hands down, probably could be one of the best wins of the season, possibly.
We'll see what Coach Jay can dial up defensively for Godby. I think that was arguably the biggest staple in their win last week over Baker County is just what can Coach Holston kind of cook up defensively for a scheme, because Niceville just is a different animal at home. Record, like I said, you throw the records out.
They're always at home. So.
Niceville's got a knack for playing like almost 7-8 games at home a year. So
how is that even possible, and how's that even fair?
Cash.
Hey, if you had a home environment like that, I wouldn't leave either.
then how do you expect to get better if you don't challenge yourself by traveling either?
They won
Come
the
on.
state. They won the state before. I mean, they're not worried about that. They
Nah,
got players. They got
yeah.
players. They got players.
Comfortability. It's comfortability. I like it.
You
You
got
can
to
say
go on
that
the
if you
road in
want.
the playoffs.
If you have a home environment like that, you wouldn't leave
Yeah.
it. So God be looking to really just looking at how the defense can step up against Niceville. But the Cougars sitting at 3-3, and so is Niceville. So this will be a big one on Friday. Rounding it out, we got Madison taking on Pace. In this one, last year, Madison lost in a close one on the road. Now they're hosting the Patriots with a little bit of revenge on their minds from last year. I know they remember this game en route to the state championship game. Just had a couple of hiccups, and Pace was one of them. So this is a little bit of get back probably on the Cowboys' mind, but Pace is sitting at 4-1, and very quietly, just like Milton out in the far stretches of the Panhandle, they put together a very, very good season. Madison County, I mean, yeah, the record is the record, but it's been one of those where I would just say that they've got probably the toughest schedule in the area out of probably next to Florida High. The list of opponents is just kind of feels like a murderer's row a little bit when you look at their schedule. They opened up against DeLand, then Lincoln, Swanee, big win there, then Columbia, which was an absolute knockdown drag out, then got the big win at Bay. Taking on Pace after that comes Rains, Florida High, Apopka, and Lecanto. That's just you don't get a break in that schedule. So the bye week for them last week couldn't have come at a better time. So they got a big one coming up against Pace, and the Patriots really are gonna, in my opinion, they just kind of are another different animal for the Cowboys. And this one, where when we kind of look at how the schedule shapes up for Madison, you kind of got to get the wins under your belt now, because you're going to need those points to just make sure you get into the playoffs, because your schedule's not going to do you any favors.
Yeah, I think they're used to this at Madison. They're not worried about who they play, because they can't get any easy games. When you win and you're a successful program like this, nobody easy going to play you. So they got to play up, and they used to, and it helps the program in the long run. They get better and better as the season goes, and I wouldn't be surprised if they win the rest of their games. They're used to it.
Yeah, and also a good point on that one, John. I see that comment. But yeah, it's one of those games where you definitely want to rack up the wins where you could get them. I mean, I think Madison County has a really good, strong strength of schedule. Possibly, will that be enough? Like you said, not necessarily so. But I mean, they're at home, and this is a good pace team. So we'll see what the Cowboys are gonna be in. What they'll be able to do.
Yeah, for sure. This is a really good pace squad, gang. The only loss coming to the week one opponent from Alabama. I think it was Montgomery. I forget the exact name of the school. But I know the team is currently top 10 in Alabama right now. They're undefeated. Wow. They're rolling. So this is a good pace team. We just talked about Niceville. They defeated Niceville in Niceville this year. I believe, if I'm got my schedules correct. Oh, no, sorry. I'm mixing them up with Crestview. Oh, so sorry. They're still 4-1. They only lost to that undefeated team, but have not played Niceville. But, yeah, they're the real deal. This is going to be a tough contest for Madison County. Luckily, in the short term with the points, Madison is in a semi-comfortable 10th position, but they're on the bubble watch. Luckily, they've got the 16 teams this year, but something to keep an eye on. To your point, the strength of schedule really carrying the Cowboys here right now. And I was just pulling it up for sake of courtesy as far as the rankings go. And Madison is top 20-ish. I'll have to get the exact number. But I believe they're right around top 20 as far as strength of schedule in the entire state. But that is really helping them out right now.
Impressive.
in my opinion, this game, Madison, if Madison can find a way to win at home, this will be a huge boost to their playoff kind of push. And yeah, John, I agree with you on that one. I don't care what the record is either. I don't think anybody in the rural wants to see Madison, especially with this kind of schedule. But pace, let's not overlook the Patriots. They are a ground running game team first. They, as a team, I think they've run for. And we're talking about through 5 games already. They have already rushed for almost 2,000 yards. I think they're sitting at 1,800 yards. And I forget the kid's name, Mikael. Hold on.
Williams.
Yeah, Mikael Williams, averaging. This kid is averaging almost two bills on the ground. He's at 191 yards a game. He's got 10 touchdowns. This is a team that's going to line up and run the football. You know it's coming, and I think the interesting thing about that is that this is what kind of how Madison is built. So this might be looking the equivalent of looking into a mirror for the Cowboys. This will be a very interesting matchup. You just kind of wonder if the schedule is going to. This is where you're going to see if the schedule has done Madison any favors or not, because this is a very tough-paced football team. I think they're coming in with a lot of firepower on the ground. Offensive line is very big, very physical, and Madison definitely going to be in for a 4-quarter fight. Uh, give the Cowboys some credit because it is at Boot Hill, but man, this pace team definitely is no slouch. Looking at their schedule, to your point, Jude, I think it was Mary G. Montgomery they lost to, top-ranked team in Alabama, but handled Pensacola Catholic pretty easily, 41-20 win. I think they handled Crestview pretty dominantly. Gulf Breeze was another opponent. This is one of those where you're not really sure points wise, but I can see this being one of those where, if anything, when you run the football, the game goes by really fast. I can see this game being over in under 2 hours because that clock's going to run. Because I don't think this will be a high passing affair.
Yeah, and that running game is super mean, gang. The line is enormous. It looks like a collegiate SEC line, kind of comparatively, and they get it done. I think it was a couple weeks ago they played Andalusia, and that offensive line was just mowing people down. It's going to be a really tough contest, but that's why you play. That's why you schedule. And this game was a thriller last year. I'm hoping we get something similar this year.
Yeah, offensive line for pace goes 6'4", 6'2", 6'2", 6'6", 6'5". So that's that. They got some they got some cornbread Fred guys on the front. That's a wall there. So it's very easy to see why they've been able to amass the amount of rushing yards. So this will be a good one. Out at Boot Hill on Friday. Madison County sitting at 2-3, taking on 4-1 pace.
And just for our editor's note, over 400 yards of offense average per game for pace, 365 of those per game on the ground.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We only throw the ball unless we have to. Columbia taking on Manatee, one of our favorite people down at Manatee. Jaquez Green coming back up, taking on the 5-1 Tigers. Columbia their only loss to St. Augustine the previous week. Manatee sitting at 3-3, and this is another big matchup for Columbia. They can really pad their resume with a victory at home in the jungle. A lot of this is just Columbia bouncing back. I think Manatee really has some weapons across the field, but not the same strength as we're used to seeing from the Hurricanes. But, man, Columbia really looking to get back on the winning side of things, and they got a great opportunity to go here.
That should be an interesting matchup also. You're talking about playing a tough schedule. Columbia is that. They're going to play against Manatee. Was a perennial playoff team. I don't know lately how they fared, but interesting to see Coach Green coming back this way. And it's also good luck to the Columbia Tigers. I mean, they've been playing tough football, and they look like a team that might get a good a seeding in the playoffs. I hadn't kept up with them. Maybe Mister Jupe could tell us where they're seated at right now. But wins count, and a tough schedule also.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this matchup, especially a team that's close to the Tampa Bay area, man. I mean, with the surrounding talent that they have, and Manatee is one of those teams that comes to mind, especially when I was living down in South Central Florida growing up. I heard their name all the time. So this will be a good challenge for them going. Do they go to Lake City or their home?
Yeah, this was in Lake City,
All
Columbia.
right. So yeah, definitely going into a place that you have never really seen before, and that's the beauty of high school football as well. When you're traveling, going to places that you've never played before, that shows you like one community's approach to high school football versus what you're used to at home. So I like this for the Tigers. I like this for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, Manatee actually has been playing a world tour kind of schedule. Started off against John St. John Bosco, Bradenton Southeast, one of their rivals, Lowndes County out of Georgia, um, Buchholz. So their three losses have come to those three teams respectively, but they did get a big win over Southeast. Got a big win over IMG Blue, and then Pinellas Park. So this is not a slouch team that is taking on Columbia. This is just a team that has played really up and out of their weight class, especially with some of the road games. It'll just be interesting to see how you know both teams match up. But for the Tigers, you know, it kind of goes back to it really goes back to just just a good mixture of run pass, Jerome Horn, Kyron Cadwell, uh, running back and wide receiver respectively, leading the team 80 yards on the ground, averaging both of them averaging about 80 yards of offense. And it for Columbia, it has more so to do. Can you use the home field advantage to your using the home field to your advantage against Manatee? Manatee, no slouch. They just have taken their licks over the year.
Yeah, for sure. Manatee's looking strong. Last couple of years was a 10-win season. Then the year before that, 9-win season. So to your point, Coach Green's got it going on lately, and they are the top dog in 5A Region 3 right now.
Yep.
And they have the single hardest strength of schedule in the entire state, at least of the games that they've registered. So that doesn't incorporate the games they have not played, but they are the number one team as far as strength of schedule is concerned, and they are in prime position to get it going on once playoffs start. So this will be big time contest for both these teams. I wish we could see them in the same classification. We probably wouldn't have them on the regular season schedule if so, but of course Columbia being 4A, Manatee being 5A. This is going to be a playoff feel to it though.
Yeah, it's definitely going to help down the road, especially for Columbia. Their schedule, still, I think Columbia ends the year at bowls, and in between the Tigers have matchups against Ridgeview, which is a district contest, and then Clay. Bye week comes October the 18th. So Tigers still have a couple of contests before they get the chance to take a break, but this is kind of one of those where they're in really prime position here. There still is a universe where they can finish the year maybe potentially with one, maybe two losses. I think that Columbia's in great position here as we round out our featured games for week number 7. Let's go ahead and jump back into the rest of the slate. Cottondale taking on Franklin County. Hornets hosting 5-1 Seahawks at home. We already had a chance to talk about Bulldogs and Gators. North Bay Haven looking to pull the 500 against a tough Mariana team, but North Bay Haven will be at home on this one. So Buccaneers looking to snatch another victory. 5-0 Bluntstown taking on Sneeds at home, and Coach Wagner and crew looking to keep the undefeated streak going. Winless Vernon taking on winless Graceville. We're gonna see what shakes out of out of the the weeds against this one, as the Yellow Jackets taking on the Tigers, and Arnold sitting at 1-4 hosting Walton. The Braves sitting at 2-3. Rickers, this is an interesting matchup. Rickers taking on Bishop Kenny, and I'm not sure if this one's on Thursday night or Friday. I got to check the schedule again. But the Raiders really match up pretty well against Bishop Kenny. It'll be interesting to see if Rickers can get. And from what I heard, they've had a couple of kids that have been kind of banged up on the offensive side, but it'll be really interesting to see if the Raiders offense, how they fare against Bishop Kenny. Bishop Kenny passing attack pretty decent, but Raiders looking for the defense to step up big in that one.
Yeah, I think it is, at least according to Max Prep's mark, for what it's worth, it says Friday.
Okay. Lafayette taking on Fort White. Hornets sitting at 5-1. And Fort White sitting at 3-2. And for Lafayette, they're quietly one of the top 5 teams in the rural classification right now. Chiefland, Madison County, again, ahead of them, and they've got a huge contest coming up against. I think they've already taken on Chiefland. I think that was the team that gave them that one loss for Lafayette. Osceola taking on Calhoun County out of Georgia. The winless Cougars taking on the Warriors. And Osceola, don't look now, but the Warriors still sitting at 4-1 on the year. Winless DRS hosting Joshua Christian. This game is going to be played on Saturday. And that going to be in Bragg Stadium, where the Baby Rattlers will get a chance to try and get that first victory on the year. Leon crossing state line, heading into Cairo to take on the Syrup Makers. Lions looking to pull to 500, sitting at 2-3 on the year, taking on Cairo. Sowall, the Seahawks, hosting undefeated Choctaw. And Choctaw, I would probably say, is one of the top teams out in the Panhandle. Big Green Indians are rolling. Nobody been able to knock them off all season long. It's 6-0 as they take on South Walton. And that game down in South Walton. So at least the Seahawks get them on their home turf. Hamilton County sitting even at 3-3, hosting PK Young out of Gainesville. And then Wakulla taking on 1-5 Fort Walton Beach out in Crawfordville, and that will do it for your slate of week number 7 games. And interesting matchups all across the board, but I'm very much really looking forward to this McClay-Taylor County game. I think it's going to be a big one. And that will do it for our slate of games. We appreciate everybody for clocking in to the Extra Point Podcast for week number 7. We're here every Wednesday for the duration of the regular season and probably potentially into the playoffs and beyond. But yeah, gentlemen, it's going to be a great week of Friday games. But for my tag team crew, Coach Cofield, Eddie Quincas Jr., and Andrew Jupe, I'm Mark Adams. This is the Extra Point presented by Four Quarters Online. We'll see everybody on Wednesday nights here, where we have everything broken down. Catch us after the games on Friday night, maybe Saturday, depending on how late the scores come in. For the 4Q Scoreboard Show, where we recap every game, try to give you rapid reactions. But until then, hope everybody has a safe, happy